One day, you will remember that feeling, though. You will remember that since you are eternal, you never get it done. And since you are eternal and you never get it done, that means there must always be unfulfilled desires. There must always be those desires that have just hatched within you, that are in the process of becoming, that are powerful vibrational points of attraction, that are amassing and gathering unto themselves, even though you're not quite vibrationally up to speed with them. Sort of like a sculptor begins with his clump of clay, and for quite a long while it's a clump of clay. It takes some vision and some shaping and some action, but mostly it takes a belief that the clump of clay can become the vision in his mind. And it is that holding to the vision that makes the clump of clay become the vision in his mind. In other words, if he gets focused on the clump of clay remains a clump of clay. If he says to everyone, oh yeah, I've got this ugly old clump of clay, it's supposed to be something beautiful, but look at it. It is an ugly old clump of clay. And they say, well, why? And he says, well, it's just the way it is. It's as long as I've known it, it's just been this ugly old clump of clay. And of course that's ridiculous, because the sculptor has a vision in his mind, and he means to mold the clump of clay to match the vision in his mind. And that's what you are doing as creators. Only your clay is the vibration that surrounds you. Your clay is the thought and the way the thought feels. That's your molding of the clay mechanism. But you must focus upon the vision, and when you do, everything that you are about begins to match the vision. It's just the way it is. You may have been hearing us say that there are 3 steps to the process. Step 1 is you must ask, and of course the asking comes easily from you because the contrast extracts it from you. The contrast causes constant preferences to be born within you. And these preferences shoot out of you vibrationally like rockets. We say that because they happen sharp and fast. Rockets of desire shoot out of you, and in the moment that a preference or a desire is born within you, even if you don't speak it in your words, Source agrees with your new preference. The evolution of the species, the evolution of all species is about that. Think about what that means. You are source energy, you know that? Here in these physical bodies, out here on this leading edge of thought, having new exposure to new experience, and you, in your wisdom and in the eye of Source, in other words, Source sees you as brilliant creators on the leading edge who wisely get to choose what's best for you. Not what's best for everybody else on the planet, not what's best for your entire species or for your world, what's best for you. Even the cells in your body are choosing what is individually best for each of them. And Source, because it understands the system so well and understands the perfection of the individual getting to choose for self, agrees every time you choose. Now, it's important that you understand what we mean by choosing, because we're not talking about the words that you use. We're talking about standing in a situation where someone is rude to you, where you choose, whether you offer words or not, that you would like to be treated nicer. Or in a moment when you are rude to someone, where in that moment you choose that you would like to treat them nicer, or that you would like them to respond better to what you are offering. When you are sick, you choose wellness, whether you know that you do or not. When you don't have enough money, you choose more money. When you are confused, you choose clarity. You do. We know you do, because we know the way the contrast works. So whether you put words to it or not, friends, you are choosing, and from the perspective of Source, you are choosing not just wisely, but perfectly for you. And it is seen to be so perfect that in the moment of your choice, big, small, broad, narrow, no matter what the choice is about, Source agrees with you instantaneously. So step 1, your choosing and Source answering happen in that moment. And that is one point of what we're going to talk all day here about, the 2 points of vibrational relativity. That's one point. What you want and Source's agreement with that. Now, to help you understand what we're getting at here, before any choice or guidance can accurately be given, you have to know where you are in relationship to where you want to be. The guidance systems in Jerry and Esther's vehicles operate that way. The systems with the satellites in the sky and the antennas on the roof and the computers in the bus, the systems know where they are. Point one of the vibrational relativity. Then they program in where they want to go. And now Magellan, or in this case Pioneer, there are many of them that are out there, calculates the route between where they are and where they want to be. Magellan says, please proceed to the highlighted route. And if they diverge from the route, Magellan says, please return to the highlighted route, please return to the highlighted route, please return to the highlighted route. Because she can tell, it's a woman's voice, the man's voice was far too bossy. She can tell that they are not on the route that has been calculated to be the best route from where they are to where they want to be. Well, you have the same guidance within you. You banged around in contrast and you gave birth to a rocket of desire, which is what you want. And now you are offering comments, thoughts, observations, vibrations about something where you are. So if you have launched rocket after rocket after rocket after rocket, and you have of desire for money, and you have desire for money, and you are complaining about not having enough money, your Magellan is saying, please return to the highlighted route. Because that emotion that you feel that you would call disappointment or discouragement or fear or worry is your indicator that you're not even close to the vibrational frequency of the desire that you have given birth to, that Source is in utter agreement with. You right now are activating by virtue of what you're choosing to think about or remember or observe or comment about. You've activated something very different from the money that you're asking for, and that money cannot come in. So step one says ask, and you do it all day, every day. You can't stop it. Step two says Source will answer. Source answers all day, every day, never stops. Step three is you must be a vibrational match to what you're asking for. You have to let it in. You don't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and expect to hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 M. You know that the frequencies have to match up. You don't bang on your radio and say, I'm not changing the dial, but get me something different. You change the frequency if you want something different. And you've got to do that with yourself too. It's exactly the same principle. Law of attraction says you're going to get back exactly what you're offering vibrationally. Your transmitter and receiver have to be on the same frequency. So your desire is the transmitter and you are the receiver. And you are the one who has concluded and Source has agreed with what it is that you are wanting. So you have this magnificent guidance system within you. Are you aware of it? Many of you know that you have emotions, but there are very few humans who utilize their guidance system in the way that you meant to when you came forth into these bodies. Most people around you aren't interested in you paying attention to your guidance. They may even accuse you of being selfish when you do what feels best to you. But when you really trace that back to the roots, what they're actually saying to you is, do not you dare be selfish and do what makes you feel better. Instead, you should be unselfish and do what makes me feel better. And we say, there's something screwy in that. Because what they're saying to you is, disregard the guidance that you were born with and the arrangement that you established with Source when you made the decision to come here. Set all of that aside, the whole basis of your existence, and do what this group of squeaking wheels has decided would make them feel better if you would do it. We understand how people come to that. In other words, if you don't understand about law of attraction, and you don't understand that you are always offering a vibration, and you don't understand that the vibration that you offer and what comes back in terms of manifestation always matches, we can understand how you might be like so many humans where you are trying to change the conditions in order to feel better. We understand that. You look out into the world and you see a lovely condition or situation or circumstance and you say, oh yes, we want more of that. We applaud that. We vote for that. We fund that. We support that. We understand why you would. You like things that feel good. You're wired that way. And so it's not hard to understand why, when you look at something you don't want and it makes you feel awful, that your logic would say, we need to do something about changing that circumstance. But the problem with that is you don't get to choose the circumstances for others. That's outside your creative license. And so when you say to anyone, a stranger or a mother or a daughter or a son or a lover, you're making me feel bad. You need to change your behavior so that I can feel better. You have disempowered yourself, and you've put both of you in a terrible trap, because you are saying you need to be different than you are so that I can feel better. And if there are more than one or two or three or four or five of them in your life, like hundreds or thousands or millions or billions, now you are in such deep trouble because they don't really want to do what you want them to do. They're not wired that way either. You are all selfishly wired to align with your source. And we promise you, you will never be in alignment with source and do something that is detrimental to you or anyone else. Any behavior that harms another always comes from a place of your disassociation or disconnection, too strong of word, but not allowing your full connection to who you are. When you are aligned with source, you are thriving. And it is only in some misalignment with source that you do not thrive. So there's not a source of evil, there's not a source of sickness, there is only a source of well-being which you are allowing or not. You're either in alignment with the well-being that is your legacy or you're not. And if you are in alignment with it, you can feel that you're on track. Your guidance is giving you joy and appreciation and love and passion and eagerness and vitality. Your emotional guidance system is letting you know that you're thriving. But if you are feeling fear or depression, you're really not in alignment with who you are. And it doesn't mean you're bad. All it means is, by virtue of something that you've been giving your attention to, you've trained yourself into a vibration that's not letting the signal that is true to your source, that is who you really are, come through in a clear way. And while you may have moments of feeling better, the way you feel is your true indication of your alignment, your connection. You're allowing yourself to be the true extension of source that is you. You have this guidance within you, and it is a range of emotions, and it ranges all the way from ecstasy or joy or appreciation or love. Those are all very similar vibrations, all the way to depression or fear. Those are very similar vibrations. And on the end that feels wonderful is your perception of power, empowerment, freedom. And on the end that feels awful is your perception of disempowerment or lack of power. Don't you know that? Don't you know that viscerally when you think about it? Think about the emotion of fear. And isn't it about your believing that something is happening, that it's going to cause you to feel awful and you not be able to do anything about it? Isn't that the basis of fear? Isn't that the best description of fear you've ever heard? And when you think about fear, and then you think about being angry instead of afraid, wouldn't you choose anger every single time? And isn't that because in anger you have reclaimed some of your power? Don't you feel more powerful in anger than you do in fear? So what we're wanting to point out here to you today is that fear and depression are the most disempowering feeling emotions that you can feel. And they are all about you looking at something that is causing you to believe that you are powerless. Now, when you get mad about it, you've taken some of your power back. And so go home and tell everyone you know that you met this brilliant teacher who comes to you from source. Don't tell them that, it will upset them. Who is coaching you into anger. But then be careful to tell them that Abraham only coaches you into anger if you're depressed or afraid. If you're frustrated, we would never coach you into anger. It's going the wrong way on the emotional scale, isn't it? So which feels worse, fear or anger? Clear, isn't it? Which feels worse, fear or revenge? Which feels worse, revenge or anger? We didn't hear you. Revenge. Revenge is a worse feeling emotion than anger. And are there degrees of anger, some that feel worse and some that feel better? And which feels worse, anger or frustration? All right, now we could speak this more positively. Which feels better, fear or revenge? Which feels better, revenge or anger? Which feels better, anger or frustration? Which feels better, frustration or fear? We're just wanting to see if you're paying attention. Which feels better, frustration or hope? Which feels better, hope or belief? Which feels better, believing something or knowing it? Which feels better, loving someone or worrying about someone. Well, we're done here. They understand.